From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5:30, streaming now.
Now at 5:30, accepting the Kindness Challenge, one city's efforts to spread kindness and how residents can still take part and receive a little reward. And struggling with postpartum depression, the pandemic is making it harder for some women to get the help they need. One woman's struggle and the resources available to you. Chris.
Top of Carolina, there has been some hesitancy to get the COVID vaccine. We're taking a look at whether paying people to get it could help. And our makeshift home workspaces, they're taking a toll on our bodies. Well, you need to watch for to avoid any permanent harm. And calls for help with eating disorders aren't just up among adults, but also kids right now as well. Why parents may be more likely to get kids help right now.
First at 5:30, during the COVID-19 pandemic, it's been difficult for some Hoosiers to get treatment for other health problems. That goes for mental health issues too. WRTV's Kelsey Anderson shares the story of a young mother who has struggled with postpartum depression and says she cannot get the help she needs.
Savannah Gannon gave birth to her second child just under 3 months ago, and she says between those postpartum hormones and the feeling of isolation during the pandemic, her mind went places she never thought it could.
Yeah, it's a scary thing.
Savannah Gannon says she was having lunch with her 2 kids the first time she thought life would be better if she wasn't here.
My little infant would not stop crying, and she just would. And that's just babies, you know, that's normal. And you should be able to deal with that or feel like you have the support to deal with that. And I just didn't at the time.
She says she does have a very good support system between her husband and her large family.
Sometimes the postpartum depression just takes over, and I sat there and I thought, oh my gosh, I think it would just be better off if I wasn't here, you know, and stuff like that. And it was scary. I thought, that's not a good thought to have.
After that, she tells me she reached out to her care provider for help. As a result of the pandemic, Gannon lost her job and was on Medicaid at the time and had to be on a long wait list before she could get help.
There's a lot of things that are really hard, especially about Medicaid, which is honestly the wait list.
Sarah Bailey works with Infancy Onward and says it's important both new moms and dads are aware of the signs and symptoms of PPD.
Peak depression time can be 4 to 6 weeks after birth, or even 3 to 6 months then again after birth. And so, you know, if this person is not getting in to see a doctor regularly, we're not doing these checkups and we're not checking on mom and dad and family, you know, and really seeing what we can do to help these people. And then from then we have to take a next step and see, now that, you know, mom has said she's having some problems and really would like some help, what do we do to support her?
Gannon's daughter is nearly 3 months old now, and she has still not been able to talk to a licensed therapist. Luckily, she reached out online to family and friends and is feeling okay today.
I do think COVID has a lot to do with it, but I also think that just our postpartum care in general is just so outdated, and it needs to be changed. And something needs to change. All these mamas going through this, we can't do it alone anymore.
When I talked to Gannon last week for this interview, she told me that morning her appointment was again postponed, and she has still not been able to talk to a licensed professional. Now, there are resources available, especially in Marion County, and I've got them linked for you right now on WRTV.com and also over on my Twitter, KAnderson_WRTV. Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Temperatures in the 20s. It feels colder, though, without any sunshine. It's all about the way you dress, and Abby's got it down. I'll call this the dog days of winter. Steely gray skies, temperatures locked in the 30s most of the time for highs. That's Abby, and I thank Courtney Williams for sharing the picture, but she's got a nice little outfit on to stay warm. It's at least dry. That helps. 30 in Lafayette. 26 in Bloomington and Terre Haute. These temperatures have not moved today. You've had some flurries, especially northern portions of Hendricks County. Then you get to Boone and Hamilton County, a little strip of some very light snow at times today. Temperatures all in the low to mid 20s now. And that's not just for us. They've got some snow in Nashville, Tennessee, and 34 degrees. Temperatures through the overnight with the cloud cover in place really won't change much. Notice how there's some clearing that reaches southwest portions of the state tomorrow, but I'll be more realistic. Let's call for mostly cloudy skies, a little sunshine peeks through, and 40 for the high tomorrow. Chris?
Parler is now offline, and it is suing Amazon, saying the suspension violates antitrust law. Now, the alternative social network was heavily used by supporters of President Trump. Amazon, Apple, and Google have removed the app from their stores, saying the platform violated the requirement to moderate dangerous content. Amazon sent a letter to Parler's policy officer citing 98 examples of posts that, quote, clearly encourage and incite violence. Parler is now trying to find a new web hosting service. Risky racetracks is how traffic safety experts have described U.S. roads during this pandemic. More tickets were written for going faster than 100 miles per hour last year than previous years. Distracted and impaired driving also went up, all while people were wearing their seatbelts less. Now, that led to more deadly crashes based on the number of miles driven than we saw in past traditional traffic years.
The positive news is that we know how to solve this. We don't have to wait for a new vaccine or unproven safety technologies. We have the answers. We just need the leadership to move forward with them.
Reducing deaths on roads comes down to about 16 laws, according to the Advocates for Highway and Auto Safety. The group just releasing their annual grades on how states are doing passing these laws. Things like rules around teen drivers, impaired and distracted driving, child passenger safety, and occupant protection. Advocates say there are nearly 400 of these laws missing from states, really because people don't understand how effective they are.
Once state elected officials realize by passing an all occupant seatbelt law, the percentage of people that buckle up automatically goes up.
On the federal level, advocates say they are optimistic about the new administration coming in to help pass new legislation. One of the top priorities is making driver assistance systems like blind spot detection mandatory. The Paycheck Protection Program reopened today. This third round has $284 billion in new money, as well as revamped bills. The program will start with small community financial institutions. Then it will roll out to larger lenders. The Small Business Administration hopes to fund more minority-owned and women-owned businesses by giving money to small lenders first. Now, still ahead in our lineup, convincing people to get the COVID vaccine has been a challenge in some parts of the country. We're taking a look at whether paying people to get it could help.
There's zero heartburn.
Fishers residents are stepping up and embracing the kindness challenge, performing random acts of kindness to support one another and local businesses. Mayor Scott Fadness launched the 2,000 Acts of Kindness challenge last month, and so far, Fishers residents have performed at least 1,153 acts of kindness or nominated someone who has. As a thank you for their act, residents will receive a $50 gift card to a local restaurant. The city committed to buying $100,000 in gift cards from locally owned restaurants as a way to support them. There's 1 week left in the campaign. All you have to do is share your act through an online form through the city's website. The campaign runs through January 18th.
While many healthcare workers are getting the COVID vaccine, some have been refusing, saying they want more data first. This is despite reassurance from health leaders that the vaccines are safe. The federal government has not released numbers on how often the refusals are happening, but some examples we're seeing at one state-run veterans home in Illinois, 90% of residents have been vaccinated, but only 18% of staff members. At one rural hospital in Alabama, about 90 of some 200 workers there have yet to agree to get vaccinated. Now, one hospital system in Houston is giving workers an incentive to get vaccinated. Employees will get a $500 bonus in March, but only if they get the shot.
If people are going to offer payment, I think they should be really clear about why they are doing so. And that might help.
The hospital system's president has done that, saying getting the shot is about fulfilling our obligation as healthcare workers to lead the community. Cynthia Kreider studies consumer behavior and has looked at the issue of paying people to get the vaccine.
When you're being paid to do something, people assume that there's a reason why. And that might happen here. People might assume, in this case, that the vaccine is riskier than it is, or that the benefits don't go to the person getting the vaccine, but go to others, when, of course, they go to both in this case.
She says there are situations where people could feel better about having an extra incentive to get vaccinated, like in the case of getting a vaccine as a requirement to travel to certain places. She says in situations like this, The assumptions about why the benefit is in place are more in line with the benefits of the vaccine, like the ability to be around more people. And we do have more to get to in our lineup. Our makeshift home workspaces are taking quite the toll on our bodies. What you need to watch for to avoid any permanent harm.
Forecast on your time.
America has a recycling dilemma. On one hand, it reduces waste and helps the environment, but on the other hand, it is expensive and space is limited. Alexa Liacco shows us what's happening in cities across the country.
It's the junk no one wants. The spoiled, the broken, the used. But once it leaves your house, all your trash finds a new home.
Everything we pick up goes straight to the landfill.
And if you look closely, you'll see not everything in the landfill needs to be thrown away for good.
Cardboard, milk jugs, the plastics, the liter bottles, the cans.
These things could all be recycled, but the process is not as easy as you'd think.
You have to put back a clean product. You have to make sure it's sorted correctly.
A burden the town of Akron, Colorado can no longer carry, and a decision Densia Raish thought she'd never see in her hometown.
It was disappointing to lose the recycling program in Akron. There were citizens who were pretty brokenhearted about it because we want to do the right thing out here, but it's just cost prohibitive to make it happen.
The cost of recycling is higher now because we used to sell our recyclable goods to China, things like cardboard, paper, and plastic bottles. But in 2018, China tossed out their deal. The United States doesn't have a widespread infrastructure to process recyclables, so the price to recycle is too high for some communities.
The cost of recycling was going to double, and the town wasn't going to be able to absorb that cost.
So Akron now throws all recyclables in the landfill.
Aluminum cans, cardboard, all stuff that could be recycled.
When we walked along sanitation worker Devin Thorne's route, the problem was clear.
Probably our number one thing is cardboard. We probably take 2 to 3 less trips to the dump a month with the recycling gone. It'd be nice to see our landfills not fill up so fast and reuse what we can. Save the earth for our future generations.
It's just hard right now.
Yeah, it is. Everything's hard right now, unfortunately, but this has been a struggle for a while, even without the COVID.
When China stopped buying our recycling, that caused dozens of cities across the country to have to stop their recycling programs. But the COVID-19 pandemic has only made the situation worse, and even more cities have had to pause or stop their recycling programs altogether.
I know we can get back to recycling in some way. I have no doubt about that.
This community hopes to make an impact on the future by leaving less of an impact on their environment.
One day, hopefully, yes.
I'm Alexa Liacco.
Alexa, thank you. Now, marijuana use may be more widely legal and accepted, but it still damages the body in ways similar to smoking tobacco. This is according to new research. The same chemicals found in the blood and urine of tobacco users were found in people that only use marijuana. Toxins associated with liver and neurological damage, cancer, and heart disease. Now, after the deadly riot at the Capitol, companies including Microsoft and Facebook are rethinking where they make political contributions. Citigroup says it's pausing all federal political donations through March. Boston Scientific, which makes medical devices, is doing the same. Marriott is also pausing political donations to those who voted against the certification of the election.
Well, Nashville, Indiana is cloudy with temperatures in the 20s. Nashville, Tennessee, some snow in the area. They've got fog, 32 degrees as well. That's what's left of the southern snowmaker that visited Texas over the weekend. And just south of Dallas, really between Dallas and Austin, Texas, Waco had 4.4 inches of snow. That's more than we've had all winter. Chicago's had just over 5 inches of snow. And we've got a little snow in the forecast, maybe late in the week. Some snow showers as we get to Friday and Saturday. Okay, all the clouds are locked in place. You can see that. They're really going nowhere. Maybe some thin spots tomorrow. A little better chance that we'll see some sunshine as we get to the middle of the week. Temperatures range from 25 in Fort Wayne to 28 in Evansville. Indianapolis, one of the cool spots right now at 23. And the clouds have been just hanging just above your head all day long. Tomorrow, Breezy, the wind out of the southwest anywhere from 10 to 20. The clouds generally dominate, although we'll see some breaks in the cloud cover. High temperature optimistically at 40 degrees. Some of you will miss that to the north and east. Let's just say Monticello, Logansport, Peru, on over toward Marion and Muncie. Temperature around 40 from Richmond all the way through Indy. 43 in Terre Haute and in Bloomington. Wednesday, temperatures a little bit warmer. We'll make the mid-40s with a mixture of clouds and sunshine through the day. We'll talk about what plays out for Thursday and Friday. We'll do that coming up in just a little bit. Chris?
There is one company that is trying to hire more workers this year. Chipotle plans on hiring 15,000 workers in the U.S. Chain has actually been doing well during the pandemic. It posted a 14% jump in revenue in the last quarter. Now, when it comes to remote jobs, the company Lionbridge hired the most remote workers in the last year. This is according to data from Flex Jobs. Lionbridge provides translation services. Some other companies on the list include Dell, CVS Health, and United Health. Now, when we started the whole work from home shift, many of us set up desks maybe at the kitchen table or in the spare bedroom, thinking it would just be temporary. Well, for nearly 10 months, hard chairs and makeshift working desks are taking their toll. Usher Qureshi spoke with an expert on how worried you should be about the long-term impact it could have on your body.
For Zach Stack, working out of his home means extended periods of time at his bedroom computer.
Initially, it was just kind of like move the desk from the other room into my room, just kind of find a chair around the house.
But months in, and all that time in a makeshift home office has become a pain in the neck. Literally.
What does your body feel like?
Like hurts. Like my back, sometimes my legs, sometimes even my wrists from typing or moving my mouse.
Without trips to the water cooler or a walk down the hall to a colleague, Americans are sitting at home hunched over laptops for extended periods of time. And that, say experts, can be dangerous to your health.
I'm sitting cross-legged on my couch, or I'm working at the island in my kitchen, or, I'm propped up in some pillows in my bed. These kind of things are not ergonomic at all and are not conducive to good posture. So
Dr. Grant Garriguse is an orthopedic surgeon and team physician for the Chicago White Sox and Bulls. He says he's seeing an increase in work-from-home patients dealing with shoulder pain. In addition to stiff neck and shoulders, experts warn that too much sitting can also lead to weakening of leg muscles. Hip joint issues and poor posture can cause compression in the discs in your spine. All that might subside when you're done, but eventually can become long-term problems.
My shoulder started hurting. So it was like everything was hurting from my top of my shoulders all the way down to my back.
It became a serious issue for Veronica Muncie.
It's a small workspace.
A mother of 3 who changed her workstation, did physical therapy, cortisone shots, and now needs shoulder surgery.
The effects from it look like something that would have been coming from a trauma or a fall or anything like that. And it completely from just being at my desk working.
Dr. Garriguse recommends taking a break from sitting every 30 minutes. If you work at a desk, try a standing desk or improvise with a high table or counter.
You're on your smartphone, you're driving, you're on your laptop. Open things up, right? Get those shoulder blades back and down. Stretch out the muscles in the front.
Most importantly, if you're experiencing any pain, it's best to seek medical attention before it aggravates enough to require surgery.
I should have listened to my body way sooner than I did.
In Chicago, I'm Usher Qureshi.
Usher, thank you. And finally in our lineup, calls for help with eating disorders aren't just up among adults right now, but also with kids, and why parents may be more likely to get help now.
Keller and Keller.
Calls for help with eating disorders have been increasing during the pandemic among both adults and kids. Latest numbers from the National Association of Anorexia Nervosa and Associated Disorders, or ANAD, shows that calls for help on their helpline have almost quadrupled. They were seeing around 80 calls a month prior to the pandemic. It is now around 230.
The isolation that people were feeling at the beginning in some ways has become even more protracted just because of the duration of this pandemic and the continued stay-at-home measures and the social distancing precautions and things like that. Then there's the continued uncertainty about the future.
Among kids, the helpline received 43 calls from people ages 13 to 17 from May of 2019 to February of 2020, and from March to November of 2020, that number went up to 96.
One thing we have seen is more parents calling our helpline because they are seeing their kids more, and they're seeing their kids' eating habits more throughout the day than they used to.
The executive director of ANAD says a number of things may be driving demand right now. More people may be experiencing disordered eating because of the stress of the pandemic. Also, more people may be reaching out for help who may not have done so before. Telehealth and telemental health is now more accepted, and insurance is covering it when it may not have before. Working from home has also made it easier for some people to fit eating disorder treatment into their life because their schedule may have more flexibility.
Most of our volunteers who answer our helpline themselves have lived experience, and they too know the struggles of even making that first call.
ANAD offers free peer support, one-on-one mentoring, and support groups. A new support group specifically for adolescents and teens starts this week. You can sign up at anad.org, click on Get Help, and the support groups. Well, it's no secret the COVID-19 vaccine rollout has been slow. Tomorrow, we will take a look at just how far behind schedule the vaccine effort is running and what can be done to speed things up for everyone.
One challenge in the forecast over the last week has been just how much sunshine will we get on a daily basis, and we know it's been close to zero, not much. Tomorrow, I think this is a little overly optimistic in painting some sunshine, but we'll go for a few breaks in the cloud cover and the high temperature right at 40 tomorrow afternoon. Much colder end